Welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. I'm Storm, the youngest sibling.
I'm Deshay, the oldest sibling.
Sage, the middle sibling.
Yay!
So we were just talking about women being able to handle a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell y'all, because I about died when she told me. But she was like, "Oh, do you want to see my scar from my surgery I did myself?" And I was like, "Excuse you?"
What?
And she picks up her thing, and she's got this big scar right here. I mean, it's not big. It's maybe this big, but it was a little thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Whoa." And I was like, "Excuse you, what is that?" And she was like, I had this golf ball size cyst in my arm. And every time I would go to the doctor, they just kept saying it was fine. We'll just leave it. It's fine. She's like, and it bugged me so bad. She was like, so I went and got an X-Acto knife and gloves, and I ordered the little pimple popper kits.
Oh my
and
God.
She was like, and all the things. So this woman takes, she was like, "Storm, you've probably used it." She was like, "I took tattoo numbing cream that you use for tattoos."
No.
And she goes, and I put it all over the entire part of my upper arm, and I left it on there. It said 30 minutes, but I left it on there for 20, and then it felt okay. And she was like, so then I just did a little cut, and I cut it open, and then she's like, and then I got out as much as I could, and then I took the scraper, put it inside, and started scraping out the insides.
No.
What the actual fuck?
And I'm like, it didn't hurt? What is wrong with you? And she was like, oh no. She was like, that tattoo cream worked so well. And she was like, it worked for the first 2 hours.
No.
And then I was like, how long did it take you? She was like, probably about 3. And I'm like, so you did it for an entire hour without it being numb?
Oh my God.
What the frick is wrong with you?
No.
And she goes, yeah, and I knew I was done because I watched some videos. I knew you had to get the sac out. And she's like, the sac part, she's like, that part hurt. So I used a Q-tip instead. And she was like, and then, and she was like, and then she's like, that one I almost passed out. And I'm like, I can't even deal with you right now. No. I cannot even deal with you right now. So then she takes, those little Band-Aids that you can they stick to either side, and then you can it's almost like a zip tie that
yeah.
She puts those 3 of them down it and zip ties the thing shut. I was like, oh my God. And it was perfectly fine. I mean, it's healed perfectly fine. She didn't get an infection. It hasn't grown back. And then it's just this scar on her arm.
No, that gives
the dermatologist will take those out. Yeah.
That's what I told her. I don't think she has insurance, so I don't know that she wanted to go to the dermatologist.
Okay.
But I was like, that they could numb you. A doctor would numb you. And she was like, no, that tattoo cream worked great. And I was like, bullshit.
But when she got
I go, wait, what brand did I was like, wait, what brand did you get?
Exactly.
Whatever it is, I want to buy it.
Know. Yeah. I need you to figure out what brand it was, because I definitely need to know which one that was.
I would never be able to even cut myself.
No.
I wouldn't be able to even get that far.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she goes, I have a really high pain tolerance. And I was like, everybody says that. You do not have a high, you are just crazy.
Yes.
I literally. Really but that's what I was thinking in my brain. And she goes, no, really, I do. She was like, I've gone to the doctor before, and I don't know what was wrong, but she's like, I was in really, really bad condition. And the doctors were like, how have you made it this long without going to the doctor?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, it only just kind of hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, it only just kind of hurts? And I was like, maybe you do have a very high pain tolerance. I don't know.
I don't. No.
Yeah, but I was dying the entire time she was telling me this.
Oh my God. Ugh.
That was crazy.
That's so gross. Yeah. I can tattoo myself all day long, but as soon as incisions and blood are made, no.
Don't even talk to me about it. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Don't
talk to me or my son ever again. I am not.
No.
That's gross.
Yeah, and she just brings it up in normal conversation, just like it was, just something you do. It's like, oh my God.
It is wild to me that
No.
that AFAB people have always been the ones that handle pain a little bit easier. And I don't know what it is. It's like in general. For tattoos at least, they handle pain so much differently than men do. I've had men pass out from like a cross, like a little cross. And there was this person that was doing like a full forearm piece. It was their first one ever. And it was like fully black. And they were like, oh no, you're fine. You're fine. And I didn't have to use numbing cream or like anything on it. So I just don't get it. It's so wild to me. It's wild.
I feel like
it has to be the fact that we have to go through childbirth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think your brain just like knows. And I was reading, because when I first got my first pregnancy, I was reading a pregnancy book. And I have got to remember the name of it. Megan actually gave it to me to read. But it was like, it explains everything, but it's funny. So you don't like lose interest in it. Like it explains it in a way that you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
But they were saying like your brain, it's trauma because it hurts really bad. So your brain forgets how bad it actually hurts. Like, it hurts, but you will never realize how bad it actually hurt. And it's because you'll do it again. Human or any sort of, nature.
Yeah.
You got to reproduce. So yeah. I'm like, that's crazy pants. Oh, it does hurt. It hurts really bad.
Yeah, and I've also had a lot of clients that are like, "Oh no, like it sucks, like it really hurts, but I'm dealing with it." Like it's just how they.
I always kind of I explain it like, like if you take a shot and you pretend like it's not the nastiest thing you've ever drank, then it's not as bad. Yeah. Like if you can keep a straight face after instead of being like, well,
yeah,
then it's not as bad. So I feel like it's the same way when I'm getting tattooed. Like if I just like keep a straight face and pretend like it doesn't hurt, then I can handle it longer.
No. As soon as I sit down, like I am the worst client ever. I hate getting tattoos. I hate it. I was telling everybody on Friday the 13th, I was like, oh no, like I look like I like getting tattoos, but I will yell at my artist. Like the last time I got tattooed, it was bad. I just talked to my mentor about getting my palm tattooed, so we're gonna talk about that one. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to be like,
you're gonna have to do like
saran wrap to the
76 different sessions. Yeah. You're gonna be like, okay, there's a line. I'm see you again in another 4 weeks.
Exactly. Can we do like a dot at a time, please? Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I told myself at the beginning of my career that I was gonna, after 3 years of tattooing, I was gonna tattoo my palms, and I've always told myself that. And I talked to my mentor about it, and he was like, you have your hands and like your face tattooed, like why your palm? Like why is this like a milestone for you? I was like, I don't know, but this is important to me and I would like to do this, please.
But also, how are you going to do your job?
Yeah.
If your palms are
going to
tattooed.
have to be like I'm going to have to take a few days off. Be interesting.
I could never. I just think about it because you're
yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
That would hurt way too bad.
And we're going to do like here, like the middle of the palm.
Right in the middle. Yeah. No.
That's going to hurt so bad.
Yeah.
Are you going to do like crazy. The Pan's Labyrinth eyes?
I was thinking about what to put in there, and I think I'm just going to put a heart, like just a black heart.
Yeah.
I think it'll be cute.
Because then if you just did the outline and you were like, I cannot do this, it would still just be fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He looked a little too excited when I asked him, so I don't know if he was just like honored that I asked him to do it or if he was excited to hurt me. So we'll see.
Probably the second.
Probably the second one. We'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be
He's
fun.
going to be like, is this fetch?
Exactly.
Is this fetch? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we start this story, I have to tell you guys what a chicken I am. And my cat is sitting here just staring at me. It's making me uncomfortable. But I was like, I really, really want to do a paranormal story. But I couldn't find one that like had enough information to actually like make it a whole story. They were usually like, just like a couple things or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it would be something that was haunted and I had to do like a whole history paper on it. And I just can't. So I was like, let me find this old show that I used to watch. I was like, I couldn't remember the name of it. It was like, I'm haunted or like my house is haunted or like whatever.
You talked about this before. Yeah.
It was on Discovery Plus. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch one of these and I'll just do a thing about like this family. So the episode's called, I forgot what it was called, but the description of it was, my imaginary friend pushed my sister out of the window.
Oh my God.
And I was like, cool, like siblings, imaginary friends are scary. We've talked about that before. Let's watch this.
That's terrifying.
Literally the first scene is this little boy that like pops up and scares the shit out of me. And I was like, no, I'm not watching this. I was like, I absolutely cannot. Well, and it scared me too, because it's like the first 4 scenes were like, this has reenactment in it. There are scenes that are very scary. Viewer discretion advised. And but it was like, it wasn't all just like written in one. It was like, this has scary scenes. This is probably going to scare you. This is really scary. Like all different things. So I was like,
it's actually scary. We're telling you this is scary.
I was like, okay, cool. And so then I didn't. And I picked a different story that's a murder. Well, actually, we don't know what happened to her story. So it's not paranormal. I'm sorry. I'll get my act together for next one. And I will watch that one because it seems very interesting and I want to know who his imaginary friend is.
Yeah, I don't blame you. There's a couple times where I've had to turn things off and watch them when it was light outside. Like, so I don't blame you.
That was the thing. It was dark and it was night. And I hate because I'm like, my bed and everything's behind me. And so I'm always afraid something's going to like reach out from under the bed and like suck me under and stuff. And if I'm watching something scary, like even just just like watching normal things, I get scared. So if I'm actually watching something scary, then I'm going to like, it's just not going to be a good time. So I'll have to wait.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll try again next time. Okay. So this story is about April Pitzer. She married a man named Chase Pitzer, and they were a super happy couple, and Chase just adored her. Everybody talked about what a great couple they were. Chase's father... Do what?
The name sounds familiar. Spitzer.
It's Pitzer.
Pitzer. Okay, never mind.
I mean, she's from Fort Worth, so you might know her.
Maybe.
But anyway, Chase's father had bought them this cute little house, and they were going to have their first child together. Well, shortly after, the DEA shows up at their house in Fort Worth. And they told April that she was going to have to go back with them to Arkansas to be a federal witness. Dun, dun, dun. So when she was 22, she was arrested and had gotten a DWI, and she had became a drug informant instead of facing charges for the DWI and drug-related things. So her testifying helped convict a few dozen people. It was an entire meth ring.
Wow. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes. So she, after this, was terrified. Like, she was always looking over her shoulder. She always thought someone was going to come after her. They ended up having a second daughter, and she wouldn't even let them sleep in their rooms because she was afraid someone was going to crawl in the window and kill them. She was just so paranoid.
Yeah.
And all this paranoia kind of started pushing her and Chase apart, which I feel like obviously. And to also cope with this, she started drinking and using drugs. One day, I hated how it was worded, but it's what it says, so I'm going to say it. She had a full breakdown and was diagnosed with being bipolar. So I don't know exactly what that means. I hate saying like a full breakdown because I feel like it's like, when people are like, you're just so dramatic. Right. You know what I mean? So, but I'm like, maybe it was like an actual like breakdown. And,
yeah, exactly.
she was put on a lot of medications, and they all just started making her lose a lot of weight. So she started looking kind of sick, and her mom, was worried for her at this point. Her marriage was pretty much over. And so she took the girls and they moved into an apartment down the street from Chase's house. And she had gotten a job at the Shamrock gas station right on the corner. A little bit after that, her in-laws gained custody of the two girls. And so she had went home on her break, and that's when they took the girls. And they took them because she was bipolar and needed a break.
What? Why the in-laws and not the dad?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if dad was also on drugs.
Yeah.
Had to have been
Or
at that
if
point.
dad lived with the in-laws. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But even if he lived with the in-laws, there'd be no reason that he was the one that had custody of them.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. John Lopez was a truck driver from California who was staying in Texas with family, and they met at a bar and they totally hit it off. He was giving her all the attention that she had been lacking. So she, she wasn't seeing her girls. Her husband was not around. And so John was giving her what she needed at the time. A few months later, John was moving back to California and asked April to come back with him, and she agreed to go back to California. Her mom thought that April's reasoning was, the heart makes, or wait, what is it? What did she say? Distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
So she thought if she left, that Chase would want her back, and her in-laws would realize like how important she was to the girls and how much she helped with the girls, and that they would want her back also.
Right.
In December of 2003, she leaves Texas. They go to the Mojave Desert, and there's not a lot of work to be found there, and it's really hard to like get started and really like join in, I guess, as an outsider. So it was just really hard for her to like get established there. They were in Barstow, California, and it is known as the meth capital of the world.
Oh, great.
Of course it is. Of course, that's where she goes.
Exactly.
Oh my God. John, warned her. He was like, here are the places that you can go. Here are the places you should really stay away from. Here are this group of people that you really need to stay away from. These group of people are okay. Like, he was trying to show her, like, go here, don't go here, whatever else. April starts getting mixed up with all the people that John warned her about. And then on January of 2004 in Newberry Springs, California, April goes in Newberry. Did I say on? In. She wasn't on it. She was, well, I guess she was technically on it. She was standing on it. But April goes out to a party in the desert, and she meets... They didn't ever give a name for this person. Everything said man on a dirt bike. She met the man on the dirt bike. There was a man on the dirt bike, like, whatever. So she meets the man on the dirt bike, and he talks about how he owns 20 acres with a lot of trailers on there, and that she needed to come back with him, and then she'd have a place to live. And John's like, don't go. Like, you really don't need to go. Like, that's not the dude. Like, not say, like, you do not need to go.
Yeah.
And she goes. And obviously her relationship with John at that point is over. So they move out there, and the house that she was living in didn't even have electricity. And she doesn't tell her mom that. Like, her mom has no idea. She's just thinking that she's living with this guy and whatever. They have a friend that she meets that lives in the little trailer community, and his name is Steve Wilkinson. He said that, that area and the police called it like a criminal hotspot. And there was a lot of drugs there.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So 3 months later, after she moves there, her and the man on the dirt bike break up. And she becomes homeless and jobless. And she, again, never tells her mom. She's just hopping from house to house, you know, trying to find somewhere to stay for the night. She's walking down National Trails Highway, and a man sees her and says, like, she did not look good. So pulled over, you know, asked if she was okay, and she just starts crying. She tells him everything that had happened, like in her life, from losing her kids to her husband to moving out here and John and the man on the dirt bike, everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, you need to get in my car. I'm taking you to my mother's. Which is like not what I expected when I first was reading this. Cause I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is the murderer. This is the man that's going to take her. Like, and he does. He takes her to his mom's house. Her name was Barb Killebrew, and she was an older lady, and she was really sick. And her and April became very close. And, you know, they were both really lonely. They both enjoyed each other's company, and April spent her time taking care of her. Like, that's what she did. She spent all day taking care of Barb.
Yeah.
Barb finally tells April that she needed to call her mom and tell her, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, she calls her mom and she tells her, you know, I've been homeless. She's like apologizing. She's saying that she was ashamed. And she says, I want to come home. Like, I want to go back with you. And then in June of 2004, Gloria, which is April's mother, starts making plans for April to come to Clarksville, Arkansas. So she had currently lived in Texas and was planning to move to Clarksville. So April was just going to meet her in Clarksville.
Okay.
April was helping Barb, like during the day, take care of her, but at night, Barb didn't have anywhere for her to stay, that she didn't have an extra room. So at night, she kind of just had to figure out where she was going to go.
Yeah.
For a few weeks, she stayed at Steve's house, and, you know, she talked about, she was like, I really want to go see my kids. I'm going to go see my kids. Like, I miss them. I'm going to move home and I'm going to go see my kids. Okay. So I typed Gloria instead of April. So I was like, why would Gloria do this? And I was like, wait, because she didn't. April did. So April stopped staying at Steve's house because she was scared. So on June 22nd of 2004, April runs into a girl that she found out was the wife of one of the people that went to prison because she testified.
Okay.
So how crazy that this is in California.
Small world.
And that all happened in Arkansas.
Okay, I need 1 minute. I've got to pee.
Oh my God, man. I saw you over
I'm
there
about
like
to
squirming.
pee on
I was like, man,
myself.
you need to calm down. It is not that riveting. Okay.
Oh, it's not calm.
Okay.
I went before we started, but you know how it is.
The shoes are
I'm gonna
not
take
that
these off
exciting
so you
now.
don't hear me.
Oh man.
All right, sorry.
Okay, go. Run. It's weird. Oh. It's okay. As long as it's still on.
Exactly.
But she turned the thing off, so now I'm echoing. Echoing.
It throws you off when you talk when you're talking. You get forward like a regular sentence because you keep hearing yourself. Yeah.
Yes, I hate it. Now I'm gonna mute all of hers for this part, but no one's gonna realize how irritating it is. And you know what? Maybe I should just leave it so everybody realizes. See, I can't even speak right.
It sounds super epic though.
It does. Have you ever seen that comedian that makes whatever it is when you sing and it's like makes that weird noise? You know what I'm talking about?
Like beatboxing?
No, but he like changes the mic tone. So when you sing it, you kind of sound like a robot.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll be like, what is your name? And then he'll like give the mic to the person and they have to sing their name. And then he always asks them a question and whatever, but they're supposed to like, they're like singing back and forth to each other. This is what it's making me think of. I don't know why, but
here I come.
Excuse me, ma'am. We were echoing the entire time because you
we're not
took your
connected.
headphones off.
Yeah.
You should have just brought them with you and made us listen to you be, okay?
Listen. Ay. Okay. Sorry.
I saw it on your face. I was like, she looks really uncomfortable. Like, what is happening?
You were like back and forth, and like I was like, "Oh, okay. Listen, I know we all have ADHD, but you need to calm the hell down." Okay?
I thought I was going to be okay. Normally, I don't do that, but you know,
it happens. We're getting old.
Yes.
Okay, so this is riveting. So pay attention.
Riveting.
Okay. I'm
So,
better now.
Remember, she finds out that this lady is married to one of the people that she put away in prison.
Mhm.
Right.
And Steve is like, she completely overreacted. April did. April overreacted. She was profusely apologizing. She's like yelling. She's talking about how she didn't, want to do it and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people found out that April was a federal informant in Arkansas.
Why would she tell her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just so happens
Oh my gosh.
that a lot of people in this area and that she's friends with are all in a drug ring.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. And Steve was in federal prison when April testified. This drug ring that was in Arkansas was taking chemicals and selling them to people in California.
Oh my God.
To make meth.
Oh no.
And she's in the meth capital of the United States. So who are all these people that you think she lives with?
Oh my God. That is like a series of unfortunate events.
Literally.
It was a total of 32 people that had ended up going to prison because of her testimony.
Because of her. Oh my God.
That's like karma, but she did the right thing.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
It's crazy how this happened. Oh my gosh. So a lot of people obviously were affected by this, whether it was, relatives, themselves, people that they worked in quotes, sold drugs with, whatever, made drugs with, whatever. And, Gloria's like, Steve and her mom are like, you need to leave now.
Yeah.
You need to get the hell out of here.
Right.
So Gloria's like, let me buy you your bus ticket. And April tells her to wait. She's like, Mom, you're in the middle of moving. Wait until you get all of your stuff to Arkansas. And then I'll meet you there and help you unpack and get your house ready. So her mom's like, okay, well, do you have anybody that you truly trust that you can stay with until that happens? And she was like, she calls him Uncle Chuck. His name was Chuck Hollister. And he was a guy that always seemed to have somebody, like he always would let anybody down on their luck stay on his couch. Or, he was always helpful. So, whenever, when she was homeless, she would go between like Steve and Chuck's and, other friends. So she knew him. She had been at his house before. So she goes and moves in with Chuck just a few days before she's going to leave. And, a few days pass when she's supposed to leave, and her mom can't get a hold of April. She's calling and can't get a hold of her. So April never had a phone of her own. Like she would always collect call from whoever's phone.
Yeah.
So she had Chuck's phone number because that was the last person she called or was with. So she's calling Chuck. She's like, what the hell? And then on July 4th, Barb calls April. Or calls Gloria, April's mom, to check and see how April was liking being back in Arkansas and being back home.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
And her mom was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And so she asked Barb, she's like, who's the last person April was with? And Barb tells her it was Chuck and that he had come to pick up all of her stuff at Barb's house. So it's been total 8 days since April was last seen. And Gloria is trying to make a missing persons report and the police won't let her because they're like, well, she just lost her husband and her kids. She probably just left and doesn't want to be found. And April's like, she was coming home. She wanted to see her kids. Like, why would she just disappear right now? Like, why?
Yeah.
There's no way. So there's no sign of April and she still cannot get a hold of Chuck. And finally, Gloria's like, Barb, you're going to have to make the missing persons report. So Barb goes to make the missing persons report and the police take it. And
Okay.
I partially think it was because Gloria was like in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think they maybe it was just weird that way.
Yeah.
3 days after the report on July 20th of 2004, Gloria finally gets a call back from Chuck. And he's like, I am so sorry. I was moving a friend to Oregon. And that's why I hadn't called you back. And he was like, I left Monday morning for work. April was still asleep. And then when I had gotten home, she was gone and I hadn't seen her since. And he was like, I thought somebody had dropped her off at the bus station and she went to Arkansas with you.
Mhm.
He tells her, she was crying that entire Sunday night, holding pictures of her girls, like holding them to her chest and hugging them. And she just kept saying, I'm coming home. I'm coming home. But then he also says, it's just weird though, because she's left all of her bags here. So why would she have gone home with packed bags and just left them at his house?
Right.
She didn't.
Exactly.
So a month later, there's still no sign of April. And then on September 9th of 2024, not 2024, 2004, a transportation employee tells the police department that they overheard a bus rider, because there was pictures of April all over the place.
Yeah.
Like missing person signs. She heard a bus rider say that she knew April and that she knew that she was in a hole.
Oh, God.
That's not good.
Okay.
They were able to track down the bus rider, and then when questioned, she said she didn't really know where April was, but she had heard someone at a party say that April was dead and that she was in a mine shaft, but she couldn't remember who said it. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
You're
Lies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You just didn't say.
Right.
So in this desert, there are about 20,000 mine shafts.
Yeah.
So if someone says she's in a mine shaft, good luck. Because, yep. In a truck stop 800 miles away in Oregon, remember where Chuck was moving his friend?
Yeah.
There's a note in the bathroom stall of a truck stop that says, looking for a missing girl from Arkansas, 3 miles north of Barstow, Idaho. Why is there a girl missing from Arkansas? Why is she in the same town that she went missing in?
Yeah.
On the same highway. But now they're thinking, okay, she's in a mine shaft 3 miles from Barstow off of I-15 highway.
Yeah.
So they do a large stretch, like mile stretch, looking for all the looking through all the mine shafts. And they had taken surveillance from the truck stop from the day that she went missing, 3 months before that and 3 months after that. And there's a video of, like, you can see the bathroom and you can see who walks in and out of the bathroom. And there's not anybody that came up that would have been related to April in any way. And they also don't find anything in any of the mine shafts. So between both of that, neither one of them come up with any leads. So Gloria starts calling back all the numbers that April's ever called her on. And, she would get a little bit of information from this person, and then she'd call this person and get a little bit more information, and then she'd call that person and get maybe some different information. And so she's getting a little bit of information from everybody, and she kind of gets it all put together. And there was one place that was pretty common through everybody that she talked to, and it was the mines of Ludlow, that Uncle Chuck happens to know the person that works and owns a mine out there. So that's weird. They would both mine out there, and they would find gold to make jewelry. And his friend's name was Dan. And he stayed out there a lot. So, like, he would sleep out there sometimes. So I was a little confused about the situation. I don't even think that he really owned the place. I think he thought he owned it. Because like the way that they would talk about the situation, I don't know that he really did. So the detectives show up at Dan's house multiple times, knocking on the door, even when his car's out there and he's like refusing to open the door and talk to people.
Yeah.
Finally, he calls the detective and he just says, like, I have nothing to do with her and where she is. I have no idea where she's at. The detectives go search the abandoned mines that Dan, said that he owned. And they find like a broke down cottage with writing on the walls. And it was, it was all random weird things. And it said stuff like he liked being a sniper in Vietnam and that you were trespassing if you were there. 3 people can keep a secret if 2 are dead. And then another one said, if you want to disappear, I can help you.
What?
Just like ramblings of a madman, kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in December 22nd of 2004, in Ludlow, the search and rescue team look all through the mines of that area, and they even take cadaver dogs. And for 2 days, they look and look and look, and they find nothing. Nothing.
I can only imagine
so at this
having
point,
to sweep a mine shaft. Like,
well, I'm like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And could you imagine being down there and you're just like, oh, there's a dead body. Like,
exactly.
It's so scary. But at this point, they're stuck. They're like, this, we thought this was just such a great lead. We have nowhere to go on. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And in January of 2005, a woman notices the flyer and says that April worked for her in June of 2000 or in 04. I keep wanting to say 2024, but it's not 2024. In 2004. And her name was Andre, and she was the owner of Baghdad Buffet. Okay, so she comes in and asks for a job. She says, I can't sit here anymore. I need something to do. Can I come work for you? She said, I live at Chuck's house right up the road here. Beans. And the owner was like, well, we're not usually that busy. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere, but you can come work a few days a week. The first day that April shows up for work, Andre says she looked so nice. She looked like she had like a real job. Her hair was nice. She had a nice blouse on and skirt on. And she said that she was the best waitress she ever had. She was sweet. She listened to customers. She would talk with them. She was the best. And she was like, dang, this girl's going to be really great here. So then the second day she shows up and she's been hit in the eye. Her eye is swollen and all black and blue. And she told Andre that she was scared and confused. And then she left and she never saw her again. It was the last she ever saw her. Crazy. So 6 months after April has been last been seen, a local coroner hears about the case and that she might possibly be in one of the mines. So he calls a historian to go look at the mines. So he knows the area like the back of his hand because he does tours, studies it, whatever. So he gets the guy and he's like, can you go look around this area and see if there's anything out of place? So he goes, he's looking around. So this is also December of 2005. He finds an area full of women's clothing. And so they're like, okay, this is not normal. Nobody touch anything. Let's go call the police.
Yeah.
So Gloria was asked to fly out there and come look at the clothing to see if they were April's. So Gloria walks out there and she finds a red and black flannel that she had mailed to April earlier in 2004 because April called and told her it was cold here. And so Gloria mailed her some clothes, and one of them being that flannel. So Gloria asked the historian if he would take her to all the mines that had been searched. And Gloria finds April's white suitcase that had been left at Chuck's house. So the first time that they had done a search of that area, none of those clothes or that suitcase was there. So this showed up after they had searched the area. And so there wasn't much they could get off. Yeah. And there wasn't much they could get off of that due to like the hot desert sun. It like ruined any evidence or anything that you could have gotten off of anything.
Yeah.
At this point, Chuck is very sick with cancer. And they went to go interview him and tell him, you know, like, you can get this off your conscience, or, you know, what happened to April. And he's just like, no, I didn't do anything to her. Like, I had nothing to do with that. And then very shortly after, he passed away. So there goes that lead also. Cool. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck.
How dare you have cancer and die?
Exactly.
Like, what the hell are you thinking?
Right.
So while the investigation goes through another standstill, Gloria finds out that Dan is now in the hospital on his deathbed. And Gloria's like, hell no, this man is not about to die before I can talk to him.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
somebody needs to talk to him. So that's exactly what she did. She went to the hospital. Oh my goodness. She tells him who she is, and they have the best conversation. She was like, he was the nicest person, and I immediately lost all suspicion that he had anything to do with April.
Okay.
A few days later, right before he died, he tells some of his friends that he knows more than he has let on about April, and said that they were looking in the right place, just not far enough, and then passed away.
Creepy.
So right. So the detectives are like, he's talking about his mine shaft. We didn't go deep enough to look for her. So on March 18th of 2010, a team of volunteer mine enthusiasts go down the mine again and look for April. They go all the way to the bottom, and there's no sign of her. Nothing. To this day, Gloria goes out there with investigators and volunteers, and they go through a different mine. They go through the desert, and they have never found any sign of her. She was declared dead in 2012. And I was trying to find an update on it just to see if there was anything else that has happened since then. And I read, it was just one little snippet of like a blog, so I don't know how true it is.
Right.
That said that the mom had found like a femur bone, and I think a total of like 6 different bones after that, and was waiting for reports from the coroner to see whose bones they were.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find anything that said that those were her bones. They weren't her bones, if that was actually true. So I don't know.
Wild.
That might be a possible thing that happened. April was quoted saying, "I don't need justice. I would just like to know who killed her. That is all I want. That is all I want. Both her daughters tell me they want me to find mommy's bones so that we can say goodbye. Just find her remains. I would be happy. I want to take her back home. I don't want to leave her here." So sad.
Oh my God. I could never. Oh my God.
But she goes all the time, every year, multiple times a year, to go search for her, to go look for her.
Yeah.
She's got a whole Facebook page for people to give any sort of information they might know about her, where she might be. She's still looking for her.
That is so frustrating.
Yeah. It's horribly upsetting
to not know.
And it's just so sad because she was like, I'm going home. Like, I'm going to get my kids. I'm going to go see my kid. I'm going to go home. And then literally days before she's supposed to go home, and she just goes missing. And nobody knows where she's at. And possibly the people that did it are now both dead.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
obviously,
but it very well could have been, one of the people from the drug ring.
Yeah. And they were just keeping quiet.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were like,
anyway,
if the guys were like paid or something by like someone in the drug ring. They're like, we're going to kill her, but like, we're going to pay you to be quiet, but we also need your money.
Yeah.
That's what I was. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it could.
Wild.
Very well.
Literally anything
so
could happen. And that's
anything.
Being that mom, I can only imagine.
And, there was a whole like backstory on the mom. That was like, she had her when she was really young, and she had her taken away because she was really young. And so most of her contact with her daughter was just through letters. For the first 17 years of her life, they constantly were writing back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
And then finally, when April turned 17, she got her back and she went to go live with her mom. You know, Gloria was like, at that point, I told her, I was like, no one will ever take you away from me again. And then someone's fucking taken her away from her. I'm like, it's horrible. It's horrific. Makes you just want to cry.
But at the same time, like,
I couldn't imagine.
Do you think people could just like, could she have started another life, just like disappeared at the same time? Who knows?
I mean, there's always that chance, you know,
because
she left for California, but she always would call her mom to ask her for like food or money or clothes or, you know, so I'm like, I mean, she very well could have, but like, what did she have?
That's true.
To do that with. So,
the only thing that made me think that was like the only person that really said anything about her kids was the guy that the Uncle Chuck guy. He was like, she was holding the photos, but like that easily could have been made up. Like they could have helped her get out. Like,
yeah,
the trip to Oregon is a little
like she's hiding or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? The trip to Oregon is what really is weird.
Like, why did you need to be out of the house for so long, just like all of a sudden?
And why can't you have your phone?
Yeah.
Like I don't get that.
I mean, I guess she didn't have a phone to call, but I'm like, why would you not have thought it was weird that she just was gone that day?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And why would you have just assumed that she left, but left all of her shit there? Like,
yeah, and then not followed up on anything. Like,
exactly. And not been like, oh, this is weird. Maybe I should call her mom before I go to Oregon and tell her that April's stuff is here. Or that April forgot her stuff or whatever. Like, it's just weird. The whole thing is weird.
It is really weird. I hate that.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I was...
Good job.
I listened to these like unsolved ones and I'm like, oh, I can solve this. I can totally solve this. And then I was watching... what did I watch? The Perfect Couple. Have you guys seen that?
I've seen the first like 2 episodes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the whole time I was like, oh, it's totally this person. It's totally this person. Every episode I knew who it was. I didn't know who it was the entire time. So I don't like, I think I'm like super good at all of this. I'm like, no, you just research all of this so you think that you know what's going on. No, there's no way.
There's so many. These always frustrate me a little bit just because, you know, you don't get an ending, right?
No.
Which is frustrating. And then you're frustrated for that mom because could you imagine not knowing what happened to your daughter? Like, you know, I feel like at least she's got enough closure to the fact that she's like accepted that she's dead.
Right.
Right. Like she's not, she doesn't seem to have any sort of hope that she's still alive. So I hate to say that's good, but I'm like, I feel like it would probably eat at you less being like, okay, I know she's dead.
Right.
As opposed to, I need to find her because she's getting tortured or like sold
right.
or, you know.
Yeah. And those little girls at the same time, like, were they told that their mom was coming home before? Like, that has to be...
Yeah, that would be hard.
Horrible for them.
Very difficult.
So sad.
Thanks.
Some real tear-jerkers recently.
Tearjerkers.
Yeah.
Next time I'm gonna have
some
I was about to say a
paranormal.
Psychological one. That is not what I meant to say. It's not gonna be psychological.
no.
A paranormal one.
We don't need a psychological one again.
Even if I have to tell it like this, I'm gonna be like, there was a boy who did this thing.
Yeah.
It was bad.
We'll just review.
I'm gonna do it right in the middle of the day.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it'll be easier.
Well, thanks. It was told very well.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's how I feel at the end of each of my episodes. Y'all are like, those you told it well. I'm like, that's how I know. I always
it was horrific. I hated it, but you told it well.
Yeah. I always really know when Dad texts us the next day and he's like, son. Like that was bad.
Disturbing.
Yeah. What did he say? It was like unnerving or something, and I was like,
yeah.
I try telling it. It wasn't fun
Yeah,
to
it's
tell
like,
either.
yeah, we know.
But then at the
Yeah.
same time, I have people that are like, "But you're picking these stories," and I was like, "That's not the point. It's not the point.
The point is, I don't know what the point is, but
exactly.
stop it.
But that's not it." All right. Well, Storm, if they want to hear more of us, where can they find the rest of us?
We are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at Three Swib Podcast. Go on there, like, comment, do all the things. Also, please rate and review. It's super, super helpful for us. We are also on YouTube. Go like, comment, subscribe, all the things over there.
What happens when three siblings walk into a bar?